Hi guys, in today's video we're going to be painting a Games Workshop Turox in German Panzer Grey from start to finish. But first of all I want to say a huge thank you to my YouTube channel sponsors Goblin Gaming. If you check the description box down below you'll find a direct link to their web store, and every time you purchase something from the link it greatly helps my YouTube channel by directly funding me. So please, if you are going to purchase anything from Goblin Gaming, please use that link. Okay guys, this is going to be a long video, so go grab yourselves a nice hot drink or maybe a nice cold beer and we'll get started. The first thing I do guys is I prime the miniature using Alclad 2's Lacquer primer. It's important to note with lacquer primers guys is they're very harmful if inhaled, so please make sure you're well ventilated and wearing a respirator, and also because it's a hot liquid it can damage rubber seals in lesser quality airbrushes, so make sure you have PTFE solvent proof seals in your airbrush if you're going to use this primer. I'm priming the Turox at about 20 psi here, and I'm working at about 2 to 3 inches away, and as you can see it's very effortless for me to build up this primer layer with the Alclad primer. It dries super quick and to a very tough and durable finish. For this tutorial we're going to be using a German Panzer Grey set from AK Interactive. We're going to be using 4 of the 6 colours in this tutorial. This is a fantastic set of paints, and if you do intend to paint your army up in German Panzer Grey colour, I highly recommend this set. Now we're going to be using the base paint from the set, and we're going to base coat the whole of the miniature. As you can see, I'm keeping the airbrush moving at all times, and I'm making sure that I don't build up too much paint in any one area, as we don't want to leave wet or drip marks. Now we're going to highlight the vehicle using light highlights. Here you'll see that I'm actually working around the panel lines, and I'm picking out all the centre of each panel and leaving all the nooks and crannies behind with the original base colour. So any area that sticks out from the tank is getting highlighted, and any of the centre of the panels. Now we're going to create a little area of interest on the tank by masking. I'm going to use Vallejo Game Air Wolf Grey. This is Tamiya masking tape, and I highly recommend you use Tamiya masking tape and don't use your regular household masking tape. This is low tack, and what that basically means is that it's very unlikely that if you've left the paint cure enough that you'll pull up the paintwork, because it's not very sticky at all. So you definitely want to use a good quality masking tape like Tamiya. Here I'm working at 15 psi. I'm very close to the vehicle so I don't get overspray. And after peeling off the stickers, you can see that nice white stripe that we've made. Now we're going to gloss varnish the vehicle, and this is going to do two things. One, it's going to protect the paintwork with a high gloss finish, but two, and most importantly guys, it's going to allow us to do a technique known as pin washing. Now it's really important that you keep the airbrush moving whilst gloss varnishing, as I mentioned earlier in the base coat stage, but with this it's even more important as the surface can get really wet and shiny. You don't want drip marks, but you do want a high gloss finish, so build it up in thin layers, and when you've got a high gloss varnish finish, leave it to dry for about an hour, and then you can come back in and we can pin wash. We're going to now use streaking grime for Panzer Grey. Now this is meant to be used for streaking, but I'm actually going to use it for a pin wash. You could use black, but because the vehicle's actually grey, I wanted to create areas of interest all around the tank using a different colour. So by using this, which is a brown tone of streaking grime, we're going to create a really nice contrast between the grey. Now the streaking grime is quite thick, so I have to thin it down with some odourless turpentine. You can also use white spirit, and as you can see here, I'm just pin washing or touching the bristles of the brush on the surface of the model, and the capillary action of the brush literally draws all of the wash around all of the details. If I put it down too thick, I'll dip my brush in the odourless turpentine and I'll thin it out a little, or if I leave stains on the surface that I don't want, I can dip my brush in the odourless turpentine and I can remove it. Because this is an enamel based product, it's active on the surface for about 15 to 20 minutes, and within that time we can add more of the enamel product, or we can actually remove it with odourless turpentine in my case, but you can also use white spirit. So it's much better to use these products than acrylic based products for pin washing, as they work so well. So in a nutshell guys, what it's best to do is use acrylic paints to the best of their ability, and to use enamel paints to the best of their abilities, and don't limit yourself to any one product, as there's so many different products out there that can be used and give you great results. Here you can see a close-up detail of me pin washing, and you'll see that I'm touching the surface with the bristles of the brush, and if I get any stains that I don't want, I'll just mop them up with the odourless turpentine. After allowing the pin wash to dry, I'm coming in with Tester's Dull Coat, which is a matte lacquer. Now this stuff is horrid, guys. It stinks really bad, and you do not want to breathe this in at all, so please make sure you're well ventilated if using this. I highly recommend that you use AK Interactive's acrylic ultra matte varnish, and at the time of this video I didn't actually have any, so this is why I'm using the Tester's Dull Coat. So preferably use AK Interactive's ultra matte varnish, but if not and you're using the Testers, thin it with a little bit of Alclad's cleaner, which is a lacquer, and it will spray absolutely beautiful. But as I say, it's not the nicest paint to work with because of it being a lacquer, and as I say, it's pretty horrid if inhaled. Now we're going to dry brush the vehicle to add some pop to the panels. We're going to use Vallejo Game Air Wolf Grey and Games Workshop's medium dry brush. It's very important that you use the correct type of brush for this job, and you work over a really ultra matte surface. If the surface is a little glossy or even satin, you'll find that you'll get the dry brush on the surface details of your tank, and it will make it look scruffy and horrible. So brush very lightly, remove most of the paint from the bristles on some paper towel, and take your time to dry brush and you'll get great results. Now we're going to use chipping colour from the AK Interactive set, and this is a great colour. If you haven't got chipping colour, you can use any dark brown like Games Workshop's Rhinox Hide or Vallejo's Charred Brown. And as you can see, I've made the sponge really uneven. I removed most of the paint on some paper towel, and that's what's going to give us really ultra fine chips. If you leave the paint too wet on the sponge, you'll get big chips and it won't look right to scale, and it will spoil the look of the vehicle. Now we're going to use light rust wash from MiG by Ammo. As before with the brown streaking grime, adding rust is going to add areas of interest to the vehicle, also adding little bits of believability where panels would rust, but more so this is important to actually add some colour to the very dull looking grey vehicle. As before, this is an enamel product and I'm using the odourless turpentine to thin it out in areas to create believability. So in some places the rust will look thick and bright and vibrant, and in other areas the rust will be really thin and light in colour. This creates some believability in the rust. Now I'm going to paint all the metallics using Vallejo acrylic colour and metal colour. Now the metal colour range is highly pigmented, really thin metallic paints made for the airbrush. But just because they're made for the airbrush doesn't mean to say you can't hand brush them, and these hand brush absolutely beautifully. As you can see, they give one coat coverage and the reflective properties look very realistic, so I highly recommend these paints. Now we're going to airbrush dark tracks from the AK Interactive German Panzer Grey set, and this is going to make the tracks look really dirty and grubby. I also airbrushed very thinly on the bottom of the tank and on the lower parts of the tracks, just to add a little bit more grime and interest. All of the badges on the vehicle get painted with Dark Stars Molten Metal Royal Gold. If you don't have Royal Gold, you can actually use Games Workshop's Retributor Armour, and it's a similar colour as this. After I painted all of the badges on the vehicle, I then washed them with the Army Painter's Strong Tone. And here we have our finished Turox. I had great fun painting this, and I painted it for a commission for Sonny, and I really hope he likes the tanks that I painted for him. If you'd like a commission from me, please get in contact. I have a Facebook page where you can get in contact, and if you'd like any work doing, as I say, get in contact with me and we can arrange it. I want to say a huge thank you once again to my YouTube channel sponsors, Goblin Gaming. Please use that description box down below link if you purchase anything from Goblin Gaming, as it greatly helps my YouTube channel. And lastly guys, thank you very much for taking the time out of the day to watch this video, and I'll catch you in the next one.